Hey everyone, today we're going to be checking out the HyperX Pulsefire Haste Wireless. Let's check it out. Alright guys, let's take a look at this mouse. This is the Pulsefire Haste Wireless. I never actually owned the wired version of this mouse, so this is my first time checking out this mouse, either wired or wireless. This wireless version just came out the other day. People are just starting to get it. It's like an $80 mouse, but I think there's a couple codes there. You can get it down to like $69 or so. The box says 61 grams. On my scale, it actually shows 60. It's really nice and light. Um, the feet are kind of small, but they feel nice. But I would have liked them to be a little bit bigger. There's an on-off switch here on the bottom. There's only side buttons on the left side, even though it's in an ambi style mouse, which is unfortunate for left-handed users. The scroll wheel is RGB lit. It's really the only RGB on this mouse, which I'm perfectly okay with. It's a very nice tactile scroll wheel. It's very quiet. I very much like this scroll wheel. Of course, this is a honeycomb body on this, but what's really nice is on the sides they're nice and solid. I never ever like honeycomb on the side, but it's not a deal breaker because you can always put tape to cover it up. As far as the other features, it's got a battery that claims 100 hours of battery life. When I checked the software, it was defaulted to 1,000 hertz polling rate. Typically, when they claim battery life, that's at 500 hertz. But there's a little asterisk there, so it says up to 100 hours. So that may not be at the default 1,000 hertz polling rate. That may be at 125 hertz for all I know. But battery life on this mouse is pretty good. It holds a charge for quite a while, so I don't think it's an issue. As far as the sensor goes, it does have the Pixart 3335 sensor. To me, that's a little curious, especially at this price range. I kind of was expecting a 3370 sensor. I will say the implementation of this 3335 sensor is excellent. I did extremely well in games with this mouse. Extremely well. This mouse is just a magnificent performer in games. I couldn't be more happy about how it feels and plays in games. It has some of the nicest clicks I've ever felt on a mouse. It's super impressive. The build quality is pretty solid too, even for how light it is. There's really no flex on the side. There's a little bit on top, just barely. And the bottom is pretty solid also. Of course, it's a USB-C for charging in the front. And then if you look at the buttons here, there's almost no whatsoever pre and post travel. It's actually quite amazing, I think. There's just a little bit of side flex. I've never really cared too much about that. It's never really been an issue to me, but some people don't like it. But it's pretty minimal, I'd say. As far as how the buttons sound, these buttons are extremely light. It's just a joy, actually. So I think this is a highlight of the mouse. Side buttons are nice and tactile. DPI button feels nice. The scroll wheel button is really nice for a scroll wheel. Yeah, I couldn't be more happy about the buttons. The switches that they use in this mouse are the TTC Golden micro switches. Like I said, they're some of the lightest and clickiest switches I've ever felt. The value of this mouse is excellent, for $70, $80, depending on what you end up paying for it. You get a lightweight mouse with a well implemented sensor, great switches, nice build quality, and it performs excellent in games. It's definitely a banger of a mouse. Under $80, this mouse is probably the best that you can get for a wireless mouse. I definitely recommend this mouse. Now, if you don't like honeycomb shell mice, you're probably not going to like this mouse. You could put tape over some of it, but for me, having it solid on the side is the most important thing. So I don't really mind it too much right here. I believe if you have hand sweating issues, that can actually help with that. But as I've said in previous reviews, I don't have hand sweating issues. So I do apologize if you have sweaty hands and this mouse ends up feeling slippery to you. I really just don't know how to check that out because, like I said before, my hands don't sweat, but the grip on it I think is decent. Now, as far as grip styles on this mouse, you can definitely palm this mouse. It fits pretty good in my hands. It's kind of flat, but it has a little bit of curves out towards the back here, and it's a bit wide back here, so it kind of fills out your hand really well. So yeah, I can definitely palm this mouse with my 19 by 10 centimeter hands, and you can definitely aggressive claw and kind of a relaxed claw. Yeah, and I think you could also fingertip this mouse because it's light enough. It's, like I said, it's only 60 grams, so very light mouse. It's got a nice shape to it. It's enjoyable in the hand, and feet are a little scratchy, but I believe the more you use it, it'll kind of wear to the point that it'll become smoother. Hopefully somebody will make some aftermarket feet for this mouse though. I think this will be a pretty popular mouse. Alright, here's the software, and one thing, I had to do a firmware update before I could access the software with the mouse. So right here are all your light settings. Then over here you can adjust the buttons, change the key assignments, and you can adjust the brightness of the RGB. There's the battery level. Right here under options is where you can change the pulling rate and the liftoff distance. These are the defaults that it came with, which is nice. And there's some presets over here. There's the sensor settings. You can adjust the DPI settings right here. You can right now there's 3 levels and you can add more, but this is plenty good for what I normally would use because most of the time I'm at 1600. Right here you can go and change some of the light sync settings. It's pretty basic, but that's about it. And here's some gameplay highlights captured while playing this mouse. So in conclusion, this is a tremendous value for the money. It has some of the best clicky switches I've ever felt. Even though it has a 3335 sensor, it's implemented extremely well. I still probably would have preferred to seen a 3370 or something newer in it, but I don't fault it because they did a good job of implementing it. And the 3335 actually gets a bad rap. It's actually a pretty good sensor if it's done correctly. Definitely a couple mice that some people trash talk because it has a 3335 sensor, but the mouse does really well for me. I may review some of those mice because they're budget mice mostly, but at the same time, there's definitely some 3235 implementations that are trash, but this one's not one of them. And I know some people have slammed the mouse because of that, but after using it for a while now, I don't have any complaints in that regard, other than it probably should have been a $60 mouse with this sensor instead of $80. For $80, it should have came up with the 3370, I think. That's about the only thing I could complain about though, but I think a lot of people are really gonna like this. And if you're already familiar with the wired version of this, I've been told it feels exactly the same. So if you were looking for a wireless one, you wanted to know if the wireless version is good. Again, I'd never used the wired version, so I can't compare, but from what other people said, it's pretty much the same. And I very much enjoy this wireless version, so if you want a wireless version, then come and get this one. And if you've never tried this mouse like me and you're looking for an inexpensive lightweight wireless mouse, then yeah, this is probably one that I'd highly recommend. It does also come in white, but there was a delay on the white. I think it was going to take like a week and a half longer, probably just for demand, but I think it's a nice looking mouse. Yeah, so one nice thing about this mouse, in the box you do get some extra feet, and there's some grip tape, which looks really nice. I may put these on here later, but I didn't want to do it for the review, but it feels really nice, so a nice bonus, I think. That's about it, I guess. And if you enjoyed this review, then you might enjoy the next mouse I'm going to be reviewing, the Honedge Ambi mouse. It's also just like that, an ambidextrous mouse. It's a lot more expensive, but yeah, come and see if I think this is a better mouse than that. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Everyone be safe and peace out.